The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start out as we do every episode by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitzmcshane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys at the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast, and to Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey. Thank you for your continued support of the show. I appreciate it more than I can really say. All right, so everybody, this is going to be the first episode to come out in June of 2025, so it is, it's the official Pride Month beginning, the rainbow puking of the alphabet mafia trying to interject their indoctrination scams into the population. Now, that may be a fast take, and pretty much anybody who's even slightly left-leaning immediately stopped this episode when I started on this, I'm sure of it. But hear me out, before you get too judgy. If you're still here, stick around, see where this is going. Stay with me. Now, as a, tail end of Gen X individual, I'm in my mid-40s at this point, and I remember a time where, the Pride movement was a necessary thing, where the Pride movement existed because there was a very real chance by a publicly admitting that you were gay or bisexual or lesbian, you were putting your health in jeopardy. There was a very real chance you were going to get the shit kicked out of you. There's a possibility you would get murdered simply for being in the wrong place at the wrong time because you were not of the standard hetero dick swinging variety. There were multiple gay guys that got beat to death, beaten within an inch of their lives, bloody, left on the side of the road, and eventually dying from their injuries when I was a kid. And that was fucking wrong. I mean, like it, hate it, whatever. I'm indifferent to fucking the opinions of other people when it comes to where I hold my core values. It's at the end of the day, whatever comes next, I'm going to have to answer for my beliefs and my values, and I'm okay with that because I feel, righteous in my decisions. I mean, I'm not saying I'm necessarily better than anybody else. I'm, emotionally constipated and probably morally bereft because I'm extremely comfortable in the gray areas where a lot of other people get kind of sticky based on either their faith or their upbringing or whatever, even if it's the motherfuckers that are willing to kowtow to social pressure to identify their values and their belief structure and where that line in the sand is for them. I'm a lot more comfortable playing around in the gray areas than some people probably would be. Most people probably would be, other than the utterly sociopathic degenerates that are all, for whatever reason, drawn to the hardcore extremist leftist belief structures because they have no moral compass, they have no values, they have no standards other than doing what they can, and regardless of how extreme it is, because it is justified by the side they have chosen to identify with. And I'm going to tie all of this into my little thoughts that lead into Pride Month. But like I said, when I was a kid, when Pride first came out as we're here, we're not going to be intimidated, we want acceptance, we want you to acknowledge our fucking basic humanity, I didn't have a problem with it. Not at all. I thought it was a wonderful fucking concept because gay, straight, lesbian, bi, whatever, even when trans people were not a fashion accessory for the unremarkable, but they were an actual people that had an actual legitimate dysphoria where they could not identify with their body properly, because there are legitimate trans people. Yes, they're 0.7% of the planetary population, and all the rest of these motherfuckers. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. I will get into this later, but ultimately, when it came to gay rights and lesbian rights and bisexual rights and all of that other shit, as long as it was consenting adults respecting each other, they're just fucking people. I've said it repeatedly, and I have to say it over and over for some motherfuckers because they don't seem to get the drift. I don't give a shit. It's not that I'm a homophobe or a transphobe or any other kind of phobe. Phobias are an irrational fear of something. I'm not afraid of a fucking thing like that. Doesn't mean I'm phobic. It means I don't give a shit. It's irrelevant to me. If you're not feeding me or fucking me, I don't care what your orientation is. You're not my tribe. You're not my people. You're not my wife. I don't fucking care who you're attracted to. It's not a me issue. It's completely non-relevant to my day-to-day values. I don't fucking care. Now, people on the left used to say, that's fantastic. That means you accept me regardless of it is. Well, it doesn't necessarily guarantee acceptance, but what it does mean is I'm not going to judge you based on that because I don't fucking care. I'm going to judge you on your merit and the quality and content of your character like I was raised to do, like I was taught is how you treat people. You treat the good ones like they're good people. You treat the pieces of shit like they're pieces of fucking shit. It's not, I mean, yes, it's a very black and white way of looking at the world. You're a good person or you're fucking not. Who you're attracted to as long as it's a consenting adult or at least age appropriate. Because let's be honest, when we were 16, 17, we were all hornied up and dealing with the battlefield of emotions and hormones and all this other shit. And we were hornied up and attracted to people too, but age appropriate. So if you're 16 and you're horny for another 16-year-old, I'm not going to call you a creepy pedophile. I'm going to call you a normal teenager. If you're 28 and you're horny for a 16-year-old, you really need fucking to work on yourself. You really do. That's gross. You're fucking creepy. But I digress. Point of it is, when pride needed to exist as a form of acceptance to try and reinforce the basic humanity of the people pushing for it, and I've talked about this before, the old school LGB people, the old school fought for their basic dignity and humanity, the people who wanted to be accepted and treated as fucking equal. Not better than, not more than, just different. Not better, not lesser, just different. That was a beautiful concept. It was a wonderful thing. That's how the world should fucking work. You don't want just one flavor or anything. That's fucking boring. You want to have, mixes and varieties and all these things interacting together and complementing each other. It's like a good soup or a good stew or a good salad. Anything, one single flavor is boring as fuck. So, you need variety. It's the spice of life. It makes things worth doing. It makes life worth fucking living. But, you also have to be mindful that you're having good variety and good spice. But anyway, so that's the whole principle behind this thing is I don't want everybody to be just like me. I don't want everybody to think just like me. And I don't have a problem with gay people and lesbians and bisexuals. I honestly, like I said, between two consenting adults, I don't give a nickel-plated fuck. It has no bearing on my life, and I'm not about to sit around making myself miserable worrying about what somebody else is doing in their fucking private time. And that's just the way I feel about it. It's not a new stance for me. It's a very old stance for me, going back to when I was a young man, and I honestly don't fucking care. It's irrelevant to me. But then you have the modern pride movement, the pride movement that was hijacked by all the extra letters they decided to staple onto the movement. The people that want drag queens reading Storytime Hour for children. The people that want to have pride parades where it's a bunch of decrepit, naked old motherfuckers walking down the streets with their dicks hanging out. I mean, very rarely do you see anybody stomping around in a naked pride parade that's anybody you actually want to see naked. Certain things you just shouldn't be proud of. If you have a body like a fucking bag full of mashed potatoes, maybe keep your fucking clothes on, Sparky. Because it's not about acceptance anymore. And it's not about being, embracing who you are and living your best truth. It's these decrepit degenerates have been emboldened by a constant oh, well, we feel bad that our ancestors treated you shittily, so now We are going to go to the utter extreme opposite pole and just let you get away with anything you want to do. We are going to give you unfettered access to the most vulnerable of our society, and we are going to feel sanctimonious and self-righteous while doing it, despite the fact that it's actually been proven to be a harmful degeneracy. And I'm saying this as someone who literally could not care less if you're attracted to the same sex, if you're attracted to the opposite sex. It's, again, fucking relevant to the conversation. But when you want your proclivities, your kinks, and that's the other thing. A lot of these parades now, they're also celebrating kink and like, oh, this is valid too. Nobody's saying it's not valid, but, there's a time and a place, and that time and a place is not in front of, the most delicate and impressionable minds, because it stopped being about accept us for who we are, and it started being about, instead of living my best life, in private as I should, I want to be out here forcing my beliefs on everybody else. I want other people to start validating my beliefs. And I've talked about this time and time again, where I honestly believe that a huge portion of this world's problems come from a lack of a strong personal core, a lack of self-worth, a lack of belief, a lack of faith that you are actually good enough without external validation, which, again, this is, a lot of people have this issue, and it's not just like depraved leftist perverts that want to walk around with their dicks out in a parade in front of a bunch of little kids. Literally almost everybody lacks the self-confidence to say, I'm good enough as who I am. I'm okay with who I am. And there's actually nothing wrong with that. If everybody was content with how they are and where they were, we'd never make any fucking progress. But the ridiculousness of June being established as Pride Month, first off, why do you need a fucking month? Completely disregarding for a minute the fact that over the last 4 to 6 years, so many additional superfluous Pride days have been created, again, in celebrating this supposedly marginalized community that has somehow managed to strong-arm their way into a position where you can't say certain words because it might offend that group. They will try and end your business. They will try and take away your freedom, have you penalized for telling them you don't agree with their way of life. And that entire set of values of, I am going to force you to accept me at the barrel of a fucking government's gun, is antithetical to the founding values of the United States of America. I can't really speak to any of the international listeners I may have. I really don't think I have too many of those anymore, but I know I do have a few. I've got my friends to the north. I got a couple down in Central America. But I don't think I'm getting a lot of playtime across the pond. But anyway, the point being, I live in America. My values are American. My upbringing was American. And that's the way I tend to look at the lens of the world. I see what's going on in a lot of other places around the world. And like it or hate it, this is probably the best system there is. And we got to try and retain it, because every single day there are people out there actively trying to end our way of life. And that would be the thought police motherfuckers, the people who want to say, I can't cope with you saying something I don't like, so you shouldn't be able to say it. The ideals that this country were founded on of free speech and freedom of belief and freedom of worship and all the other inalienable rights that a human being should have to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness for all humankind. It's a really noble concept that these motherfuckers just can't seem to realize. They can't wrap their head around the fact that since they are unable to be happy on their own volition and on their own merit, they need to somehow regulate everybody else to be equally fucking miserable, because rather than work towards their own success, because that's hard, we have a bunch of lazy, entitled motherfuckers who just want the world to work for them. And frankly, it makes me sick. And you have an entire generation of worthless, just valueless, and I know that's kind of redundant, worthless and value, but there's worth and there's value, and they're two slightly different things because one's subjective, one's objective. But either way, you get these just sad sack, empty shell, zero value added human beings that just basically exist. And rather than try and bring something extra to the table, rather than create something better or something new or something wonderful, they just want to bitch about how it's not fair, they're not getting the same results as the people who actually put in the fucking work. And it's infuriating, but like I said, this in a large way, again, I know I harp on the left a lot, but that's where I see most of these fucking shortcomings. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of heavily right-leaning motherfuckers. I mean, it's no secret at this point. I think if you lean too hard either fucking way, you're lacking in some department, whether it's lacking in, common sense or values or analytical abilities or the ability to see beyond your own pathetic self-interests, or you're lacking in empathy, or you're lacking in a certain degree of understanding. And I'm saying this as someone who's basically a fucking sociopath. I have no problems shutting off my empathy for other human beings. I'm a lot more empathic towards animals and creatures that exist in a more natural state, preferably the ones that don't necessarily have full high-level self-awareness. I mean, I think most animals do possess a degree of self-awareness, but at the same time, the ones that, the reason I have such an easy time turning off my empathy for other humans is because with humanity, it's a conscious choice. It's an active decision to be a piece of shit. If you're an animal that's running on pure instinct, and I'm not saying all of them do. I mean, I know there are fucking animals out there that are just malicious little motherfuckers too. But with humanity, it's a choice. And if you make the wrong one, it's really not too hard for me to fucking just say, you know what, you're subhuman. And that'll get me a lot of flack from certain people. I again, don't care. You're not paying my bills, you're not making my meals, and you're not sleeping with me. Your opinion is fucking irrelevant. I don't care. But I digress. I'm getting all self-righteous here again. But these people who decided to co-opt the Pride movement and take it from something that was, we want to be acknowledged as equal. Again, not less than, not better than, just equal. Different, sure. The same, but equal, yes. And that was a noble concept. But then again, we have these, bring nothing to the table, worthless, empty husks of a human being that latched onto this movement because it was gaining popular support. It was gaining a groundswell of like, you know what, this is decent. We should treat these people as people because they're fucking people. It's not a real hard concept, do unto others, golden rule. There's about 1 million versions of it in every single culture that has ever existed on the planet. There is some version of the golden rule because it's kind of a universal truth. It really is a basic entry-level fucking concept. Don't do shit to people you don't want done to you. That's as simple as I can fucking make it, and that exists in literally every version of a religion or a belief structure that is out there has some version of the golden rule in it. A lot of times it gets perverted and twisted to serve a certain end, like, oh, well, that only applies to people of the same faith or whatever other horseshit doctrine that some human being has slapped onto that concept at some point, whether that's because they don't consider people not of the faith equal to being a human or whatever fucking logic they have besides twisting the value. But at the core, the tenet is there in literally every fucking dogma on the fucking planet. Don't be a piece of shit. So anyway, operating under that Gen X upbringing of, Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street before it went all fucking woke. And the general concept of treat people the way you want to be treated, don't be a fucking piece of shit. We embraced, the LGB community. We said, hey, you guys are all right. You're just people. Fucking faboo. We don't care. That's a fabulous pair of shoes you have on, Steven, and whatever the fuck else came to mind, It was a non-issue. It was not a thing. And the knee-jerk, smooth-brain fucks way overcompensated because they saw, hey, this is getting a support. This is getting a groundswell. This is a fabulous thing. And all of a sudden, we're in a position, you fast forward another 30 fucking years. 40% of the calendar year right now is dedicated to Alphabet Mafia awareness or recognition or noticing. LGBTQ History Month, LGBTQ Stone, they have a memorial of the Stonewall riots, which, I get that one. But again, you don't need a whole month for Pride. You don't need a whole month to celebrate we're here, we're queer, get used to it, because at this point, everybody's fucking used to it. There's nothing to get used to. You don't need to be told you're special for who you want to smash your squishy bits up against for 30 straight fucking days. It's utterly fucking ridiculous. And the deeper problem with it is all those unremarkable, worthless, non-contributory motherfuckers that I mentioned, the fucking, water flavoring people, the people who are like, seriously, so bland and unoriginal and non-contributory that they will latch on to anything at all that they think somehow makes them special or unique or worthy of acknowledgement and recognition without actually doing anything of merit or use or value. That's where you get these fucking 300-pound purple-haired barista fucks who have Z-Zer on their fucking name tag that are pissed off that Starbucks said you have to wear a black t-shirt while you're fucking working. The fucking just self-important land whales that are out there saying that they need to be acknowledged. And the biggest problem with it, and you know, and I could go on for hours about what I think is causing this ridiculous uptick in fucking morons. But at the end of the day, whether it was because they had parents who were just a little too permissive or who were too busy or not involved in their lives enough to give them any kind of structure and have them turn out to be a useful contributing member of society because they were told everything they were doing was okay and they were their special unique snowflakes, or they were treated like an accessory, whatever the case may be. Because I look at a lot of these kids right now, particularly with modern celebrities and woke leftist dirtbag fucking parents who use their kid to score woke points with other woke leftist dirtbags. Like the statistical impossibility of Megan Fox having 3 trans sons that all identify as female, really fucking slim. The statistical probability that she's a type B personality cluster fucking narcissistic cunt that wants all the attention and look how special and how accepting I am that I love my 3 daughters that were born with dicks, a lot fucking higher. So you get all these vapid, worthless, empty husk human beings that latched onto a movement, co-opted it, used it to become a juggernaut, used it because it was a very vocal for such a marginalized community. They sure had a lot of sway where you will slap our rainbow logo on all your products. You will dedicate sections to us in the store. You will do this. You will do that. And it's not that it was such an overwhelming majority of the population that it needed to have this kind of clout. It's that they were very loud and they had the support of weak-minded leftist armchair activist cunts who wanted to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing something. Look how progressive I am. Look how woke I am. Look how forward-thinking I am, because I'm going to go out there and I'm going to stand up for this marginalized group of fucked-upon people who somehow, all of a sudden, even though they are a marginalized community, because they're a minority, because people who are legitimately impacted by all of the fucking letters they tagged on after LGB, because honestly, if you look at any of the LGBs of a certain age, like, you know, my age, around my age, older millennial to going further back to the old queens I grew up around, it's like they're sick of this shit too. They don't want to be associated with this group. They don't want to be affiliated with all the fucking nutballs who have fallen out of the fucking woodwork because all of a sudden they think they found their tribe and they found their movement and they found a bunch of weak, spineless, soulless cunts to support them. It's like, oh, even though I'm not one of you, I support your right to exist. Here, take my children, teach them how wonderful your ways are. Yeah, you know, there was a reason a lot of these people weren't hidden in the woodwork, and that's because that's where they fucking belong. And it's not that I'm not accepting, it's that their need to spread their particular quirks and things, it is due to a lack of a fundamental value or a fundamental core strength where they're content to just say, hey, this is my thing. It may not be for everybody, but it's my thing. They, on some level, feel that what they want or what they're into is fucking wrong because they're either too concerned with social stigma or they know fundamentally there's something wrong, like, you know, the kitty diddlers and all the fucking perverts and the people who, you know, bad shit happened to me, so I have to do bad shit to other people so I can feel better about myself, so I can normalize the shit I went through, even though obviously if it needs to be normalized, it's because it's not fucking normal. And if it's not fucking normal, there's usually a fucking reason. If it's a horrific, traumatic experience for you, why would you want to impart that same shit on anybody else? You soulless, heartless, just worthless fucks. And, you know, so that's kind of my thoughts on the matter. Like I said, I love the gay people I know. I have some lesbians in my life that I am enriched for knowing them. I am a better person for knowing them, and that's fantastic. I've got some friends that swing both ways, and they'll fuck anything that, you know, shows them the interest. And hey, I don't care. They're good people. They're still my friends. They get their rocks off going both ways. I don't fucking care. If you're a good person, that's all that fucking matters. I'm going to accept you and I'm going to support you, or I'm not. It's going to be based entirely on how you carry yourself, on your demeanor, the way you treat other fucking people. And at the end of the day, I'm okay with that. I don't need anybody's validation for the way I live my life. I don't need anybody's acceptance for the way I live my life. And maybe that's why I'm fine sitting there and people say, oh, well, you can't say that. Why the fuck not? Why can't I say that your orientation doesn't need to be celebrated? It needs to be accepted. Yeah, that's fine. It's who you are. It's what you're into. That's fine. Do I need to go out and have a parade for you? No. There's no breeder fucking holiday. We don't get straight pride parades where you're a bigot if you bring the concept up. But that's the thing. We've got, like I said, we've got this retarded bunch of worthless fucks that are hollow human beings that lack some key component to make them whole, to make them functional, to make them a normal human being. And the problem is they have a very skewed perception of reality because they think that being treated fairly or equal treatment is discriminatory in a lot of ways because, and particularly with the younger ones and the older ones who actually benefited from this co-opting of what was once a very reasonable and logical movement, the ones who co-opted it and said, no, we're here and we need to be fucking celebrated. Again, it's because they find no joy in an organic manner. They are lacking the self core to be able to be content without external validation. In a lot of ways, society is kind of fed up, and I've talked about this on different subjects at different times about different things. And the way the societal stance on most things works is very much a pendulum. It swings back and forth. It never really comes to rest in the center where it's probably the most efficient. And the pendulum's starting to swing back the other way. And a lot of that has to do with, average motherfucker, middle of the road, middle income, middle-aged motherfuckers we're just fed up. And I'm going to lump myself into that group because in a lot of ways I'm fed up too. I'm never going to change my stance. I'm never going to be like, well, they were right. We shouldn't have let them queers get hitched. I mean, that's just not the way I look at the world. The fact that certain people are proving the slippery slope motherfuckers might have had a point, it just enervates the shit out of me. But honestly, I don't think the legitimate threat of the slippery slope is the gay people that we decided, hey, guess what? You're just human beings and you get to have rights too. That's not the slippery slope. The slippery slope was the smooth-brained leftist fucktards who wanted to be permissive and show how, of the virtue signaling and the oh, look how much I support you. Look how hard I'm supporting you. I'm a great person. Tell me I'm a good person. Tell me I've made your life better through my acceptance. Tell me forcing your beliefs on people that don't want it somehow makes me better. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these motherfuckers do it because they want control over other people's lives, because either they don't have any control over their own lives or they realize that they're fucking, impotent, worthless, just spiraling out of control, going through the motions every day without actually contributing anything. And they're worried they're not going to leave any kind of legacy behind them, or they're not going to leave their mark on the world. So their way to leave their mark on the world is to try and enforce beliefs upon people who don't want them. And they think that somehow gives them some sort of righteous standing or some justice where they're going to say, you know what? I changed the world for the better because I made a whole bunch of people that didn't want to do a thing do the thing. That makes me important. I'm so much more enlightened. I'm so much more evolved. I'm so much better than these fucking ignorant, mouth-breathing, redneck, hillbilly motherfuckers who were perfectly content to leave the gays alone but didn't want to go out and celebrate them and tell them they were special just for existing in a way that was different from what they thought was normal. And you get these just utterly insane fucking people who think, again, they think they're doing a good thing. They're doing developmental damage to society, to their children, to other people's children, to the future of the species. In the name of what? I mean, like I said, I'm all for acceptance. I'm all for letting people live their best lives as long as you're not fucking hurting anybody. Live your life. Do you? If you're into fucking dressing up as a fucking ostrich and getting beaten with a Kato salami on a Tuesday night while you wear a fucking, First Reich helmet and fucking lederhosen, I don't fucking care. Whatever your fucking shit is, your kinks, your thing. Go find somebody that's into that same shit or likes you well enough to put up with it, and you do you, boo-boo. Live your best life. If you want to be out there and you're fucking hims and hers and theys and thems, who gives a shit? That's great. You do you. Am I obligated to tell you you're special because of who you want to smash your squishies up against? No, I'm not. I'm like I said, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I have no reason to prevent you from doing whatever sick and twisted shit your little hearts desire. But at the end of the day, I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to validate it. I don't have to justify it. I don't have to say, you know what, it's right that you're fucking banging the neighbor that's dressed up as the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile driver while you're wearing a Thomas the Tank mask. I don't have to validate your shit. And I don't understand why so many people are so fucking weak that they require other people to validate their shit, to sign off like, no, it's okay. Not only is it okay that you're doing this, it's wonderful that you're doing it. You're so stunning. You're so brave. You're so strong. When actuality, the truth is far, far different. The truth is these people are not stunning or brave or strong. They're not even creative or original or unique. They're a bunch of washed out, worthless, weak, spineless, soulless, valueless husks because they can't just do their own thing. They need the rest of the world to tell them they're okay. They need the rest of the world to tell them you're smart and you're pretty. And it's not that you didn't get asked to the dance because you smell like fucking hot tuna and fucking mushrooms. It's because the rest of the world is just a shitty place. And we're going to shelter you and we're going to protect you and we're going to celebrate your uniqueness and, your inability to get my fucking coffee order right because you're too busy trying to lecture me on fucking pronouns when I didn't ask, because I'm not speaking about you in a context where you will ever hear. And if I am, I'm going to refer to you as worthless cunt. I'm not going to call you Z, Zim, Zay, Zer, he, she, or it. It's going to be that worthless cunt fucked up my coffee. But, and coming back to another thing I say a lot, these motherfuckers, every single one of them, to a certain extent, it's because it's main character syndrome. They think the entire world is constantly thinking about them and they're on everybody's mind, whether it's because they're so unique and they're so amazing and they're so, brilliant in their way they're taking it to the man, or the way they're boldly going out and refusing to accept societal norms of standards and beauties, or, just being bravely, massively fucking obese, stunning and brave and fucking with a cholesterol count in the triple digits very easily. These worthless, soulless husks are going to go out there and show the world what it is, because obviously it's all about them. All the haters are constantly thinking about these fucking people. The people who, I showed him, I told him my pronouns, and I loosened the lid on his coffee, and he's going to spill it in his lap when he's on his way to his job where he makes 10 times in a month what I make in a year because I'm a worthless, shitty barista who can't work more than 22 hours a week, or I start getting PTSD because being at a job for 8 hours is hard and unfair, and contributing to society is wrong. People should be taking care of me. I need free school. I need free health care. I need free food because I can't afford to eat because I won't do anything that provides enough value to offset my fucking caloric intake. And these worthless fucking cunts exist. They're out there. They want to be celebrated. They want to be told they're special. But they're not. They're actually incredibly fucking common. And incredibly fucking bland. And incredibly fucking dull. And the more they slap on these worthless, just, venial, little pathetic, just little husks, little slapping a little coat. I mean, lipstick on a pig, hair dye on a fat cunt. It's all kind of boils down to the same thing. And oh, by the way, I am using non-gender language in this rant. When I say fat cunt, I am not speaking gender specifically. I believe you can be a cunt regardless of what plumbing you're working with. But at the end of the day, it's all these mediocre people that are failures as human beings under the natural order of things. When you get the little, oh, I'm a trans female, I should be competing with women. No, you're a failure as a male, and the only way you can compete is to go against people you have a glaring physical advantage over. I mean, the most mediocre male athlete will still trounce high-end female athletes. It's biology. It's physiology. There is no amount of wishing, bitching or whining that will change that fact. It is a fact. It's a shitty world. It's tough. Oh my God. I feel like a girl, so I have to compete with the girls. You might feel emotionally like a girl, but physically you're still a fucking boy. You still have testosterone. You still have shorter muscle fibers. You still have denser bone structure, and you're a fucking failure from a character standpoint because you want that physical advantage, but you don't want to acknowledge that physical advantage. You want to say, no, I'm a girl. I deserve to compete with the girls. Physiologically, you're not. No amount of whining, no amount of hoping, no amount of bitching will change that fact. Just like no amount of bitching will say, oh, a man can get pregnant if it's a trans man. When you're putting that preemptive statement trans in front of man, it's because you're not actually physically a man. You're a woman who identifies as a man. You're a woman. You have female plumbing. You may not like it. You may hate everything about yourself. You may be lugging around generations of fucking trauma that have told you being a woman is bad, and subsequently you think you're a man because somebody told you you can be just by wanting it. Well, I want to be rich. I want to be able to do this podcast for a living. Wanting shit doesn't make it fucking happen. In some cases, working at shit doesn't make it happen. Now, I'm not saying I work at this, making this podcast my living, because if I was really serious about it to the point where it's like, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to do this full time, I'm going to take a gamble, I'm going to take a risk, I'm going to market the shit out of it, I'm going to do everything I can to put my fucking voice in new people's ears, and then I failed, then it wasn't meant to fucking be. And you know what? I'm not a professional podcaster, but I'm also okay with not being a professional podcaster. At the end of the day, I like my job, I like what I do, I like where I work, I like, my life is not great by any stretch of the imaginations, but it ain't bad. I know a lot of people that have it worse. I do have enough self-awareness and enough perspective on life to not bitch too much about the fact that I get to have a pretty decent life. I have a roof over my head. I have food in the fridge. I've got enough food where I could not go to the grocery store for a month if I didn't have to. I mean, if something went sideways, I've got enough stuff stacked up where I'd be good for several weeks. And that's not just me. That's my entire family. So I'm doing better than a huge portion of the world. Nobody's trying to kill me every time I walk out the door. I'm not in a fucking war zone. I mean, granted, I live pretty close to Chicago, so there's always a chance. But anybody takes me, unless I get blindsided, whoever tries to take me out is going to know they were in a fight. But I digress. I'm not here to boisterously grandstand and just talk shit. I'm here to try and just get my thoughts in order. And like I said, I've just been thinking about the whole Pride Month thing. And, at the end of the day, this year, I mean, yes, that pendulum's shifting back. Corporate sponsorships really not where they've been at for the last 4 years. Gee, I wonder why. Because, look, the country swung red again. And unlike all the childish, juvenile, whining, puling leftists who don't understand how things work, corporate America, for all their shortcomings and failings and how easily they're swayed by the mob, they do possess something that the left is utterly fucking lacking, and that's an ability to read the fucking room. You don't build successful businesses. You don't become captains of industry without being able to pick up the prevailing winds. And pride organizations around the country this year are reporting, massive losses in support, in funding, in financing. I mean, I think the New York Pride organization said they lost something like $190,000 of pledged support this year. They're just monumental shift. Way less companies pushing logos out with, the rainbow flag imbued on everything. And now, the NFL is still fucking leaning into it for some reason, which is weird to me. I know the ratings have been dropping for years in most professional sports. America's kind of fallen out of love with most traditional professional sporting organizations in a lot of ways. But that's because they've been leaning into this shit in a lot of ways too. And, leftism, for whatever reason, commie sympathizing leftist clowns who think everything should be socially owned and socialist and capitalism is bad really don't pay the fucking bills all that well. That purple-haired land whale fucking selling $8 coffees at Starbucks isn't going out and buying a Mercedes anytime fucking soon. So the leftists started to realize, hey, maybe we should stop bitching at capitalism every time they're not doing things our way. Meanwhile, capitalism has said, why are we catering to people who don't buy our products? They're threatening to boycott our cars. They can't afford our cars. Fuck, most of them can't afford a fucking 73 Festiva. But the point is, in a lot of ways, corporate America has realized liberals don't pay the fucking bills at the end of the day. People in society who want to be taken care of, who want to have all their needs met for them by the government, at some point become a finite resource because the people who are providing to the government don't want the same shit. The working people never want the freeloaders to get their way. And when you start pandering to the freeloaders, you lose the support of the people who actually produce. And when you do that, you can't sustain a business. I mean, you saw it during the 2024 season, spooling up to election season with, and with the Bud Light fiasco and all this other shit where, I mean, it's a lot more significant for the centralists and conservatives to vote with their dollars because they actually fucking have them. When you got a bunch of people who are like professional protesters and their income is coming from, like a lot of it was coming through USAID, which has been shut down. There's been a lot less protests going on other than the geriatric fuckers who are out burning Teslas because, when the funding dries up, all of a sudden when Soros is actually having to go into his own wallet instead of fucking into all his illegal tax banks, things started to calm down. And when these leftists are all of a sudden are losing their paychecks, they can't spend money. Their boycotts are meaningless. Why would you pander to a group threatening to boycott your organization that never spent any money with your organization in the first place? And some of the funniest shit when the left threatens these things is the companies that realize that and run with it. It's like, you're not our fucking demographic. Why would we care if you want to boycott us? You never bought anything from us in the first place. Fuck yourselves. Okay, well, we're a little over 40 minutes. I think I'm all ranted out at this point, so we're going to put a pin in that one and say for now that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.